Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with our first Cabral House Call of the weekend, my opportunity to answer your questions that have come in typically over the past 12 weeks. We're usually about 12 weeks behind from when your question comes in to when it's answered live on these weekend house calls. We answer about a dozen questions each weekend. If you're new to the show, we appreciate you, whether you've been here for 6 years now or you've been here just a few weeks or so listening to the Cabral concepts. You can always go back. You can listen to all the archives at StephenCabral.com/podcast. Take your time, listen to a couple a day if you'd like. But you can also search for the topics that are important to you by either scrolling through the graphics at the top, just at StephenCabral.com/podcast. All sorts of topics like digestion and hormones and thyroid and virus-based protocols, like all these different things are there. And then, of course, you can actually use the search box to type in things like lupus, Hashimoto's, rheumatoid, colitis, migraines, allergies, whatever it might be. There's certainly a few shows on each one, I'm sure. All right, but without further ado, let's get started with why we're all here, and that is your questions. So, first question, I'm going to open the document now. I don't do any previous research on any of these. And all right, the first question is from Barbara. Barbara says, what's the best product to purchase to start getting healthy overall? All right, great question. So short, sweet, succinct, to the point. I've given up a long time ago saying like, oh, this is the one best product in the entire world, and it is the panacea that's going to help with whatever it might be. And so that's why I always say supplements, without a doubt, they changed my life. I would not have gotten healthy without them, because when your body's exhausted, when it has poor digestion, all sorts of different things, really difficult to do it through food alone. Now, again, food is where we start, right? A whole food diet is required to get healthy. There's no doubt about it. But again, supplements are one of my 8 parts of getting people well. So this is how I typically explain it to people. The first thing you want to do is listen to a podcast like this one. So you start to get information. You start to say, okay, that kind of sounds like me. Okay, that sounds like the direction that I may be going in. You get a broader overall knowledge base, because I think the why is always important behind what you're going to do next. So if you know the why, you're most likely to follow through. So sometimes people direct message me and they're like, oh, this is too long to read or too long to listen to. I don't know if there's an acronym for that yet. But the truth is, like, I'm not going to give you the summary in 2 sentences. I'm just not. I'm not your guy if that's what you're looking for. I'm looking to help people that are sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they want to live their absolute best life possible. They want to reach their highest potential. If that's not you, I'm probably not your guy. And the reason is that I'm not going to give you the shortcut. I'm going to give you the thing that actually works. So if you want something and it's going to work for 2-3 weeks and then it's going to stop working and you actually ruin your metabolism because of it, because like a lot of these diet plans out there, that's not me. It's not why I'm in this. I'm going to be doing this for the next 35, 40 years. And so like, that's it. I'm just not going to be the guy who comes up with a carnivore 1.0, 2.0, now 3.0, and all of a sudden you can eat fruit as a carnivore. Well, that's completely made up. I mean, that's absurd. Carnivores can't tolerate fruit. That's why they're carnivores, right? So I'm not that guy. But what I can share with you is this. Listen to podcasts, get the education behind it. And again, it doesn't have to be just my podcast. It can be whatever podcast you feel speaks to you. But you don't want one that's too dogmatic. Like, this is the only way to do it, right? Like, we got to slow down with that. And then read something like the Rain Barrel Effect. So next you read the Rain Barrel Effect. Okay, now you get a deeper understanding of how we get sick and then how you get well again. And then after that, you can go one of 2 directions. You can lab test to customize exactly what you need, something like the Big 5 or the starter kit. That's going to tell you exactly what your body's missing or has too much of. And then you're going to complete the functional medicine detox. If there was one thing you'd recommend, yes, it would be a 21-day functional medicine detox. And if you don't want to start with 21 days, you can do 7. That's at StephenCabral.com/detox. And even before you start, maybe just do a free course as well. That's at stephencabral.com/courses, and you'll find one on detox there. That one is actually free. Okay, and then after that, you're going to maintain results, even if you're just doing one thing a day with the daily nutritional support. You'll make it into a smoothie in the morning. Absolute best thing that you could have for breakfast. Like, there's nothing better. You get all of your nutrients for the day. It's easy to digest. I've got lots of podcasts on why an easy to digest breakfast is the best way to start your day so you don't use up all your energy. And then after that, if you end up lab testing, you'll know which protocol might be best for you. SIBO protocol for the gut, Parapro support protocol for parasites. You might do something like the heavy metal detox. I mean, there's a lot, and it just depends on what you need. All right, hopefully that was helpful. Nan is up next, or Nan, N-A-N. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for taking the time to answer our questions. I've been using elimination diets to figure out what was causing my digestive and hormonal issues. I realized that I'm very sensitive to lectins and salicylates. I do not want to stay on an elimination diet for too long, to the detriment of my nutrition, and I've been unable to find a good multivitamin and mineral, and the Equilife ones do not ship to my country. I'm therefore trying to diversify my diet however I can. I can now eat lectin foods that I've been soaked and pressure cooked. I can also have a few histamine foods when I intermittent fast. However, I've been unable to introduce salicylates. I've been doing epsom salt baths every once in a while, tested, and they haven't found any underlying digestive issues, SIBO, or bacterial imbalances. What can I do to reintroduce salicylates? Got it. Okay. So it said your mom's always had salicylate issues as well. Happy to help. So, the thing is this. If you are sensitive, and we're sensitive to lectins and histamines and salicylates, there's almost a certainty. Again, I have to give you my disclaimer. I'm not here to provide any medical advice, medical diagnosis, medical treatment plans, or medical cures on the Cabral concept. All right. So if you ran the bacterial and parasite stool test, but maybe, again, you might not be at a country that we delivered to, but you could probably find a practitioner, naturopathic doctor, integrative health practitioner that can run a 3-day stool test for you. I'd be willing to bet that your bacterial balance is not optimal. I'd absolutely be willing to bet that. I'm not a betting man, but I'd bet that. So we'd want to do something like the CBO protocol, even if you can't test. I don't know. I'm leaning towards, because I have had all these issues myself as well, that's not balanced. So then you're not able to balance your Th2 immune system because the gut might still be permeable as well. So you do something like the CBO protocol, the CBO finisher, and then you would slowly reintroduce these foods, kind of like you're doing right now, because your rain barrel is still pretty close to the top, right? And that can be the inflammation and the mast cell production and cytokines and histamines from a higher Th2 immune imbalance. So again, even if it's genetic, it's my family as well, my grandmother, my mother, now me. And I know that my youngest daughter has the same genes for this specific issue. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? We inherit these genes, but that doesn't mean that we are destined to have to suffer from our genetics. So that's that. That's what I would do, because most likely there is not enough of a specific bacteria in your gut to be able to produce diamine oxidase to naturally break down these histamines and the essentially reactions you have to salicylate foods. Now, the nice thing is that there's not a ton of high salicylate foods that you'd have to really stay away from. So that's something to look at. And what's the last part that I wanted to give you? And then always just make sure your liver is in good functioning order, because if your liver's not doing well, that's absolutely can affect salicylate load. So if you haven't done a functional medicine detox, which is specific to your liver, you may want to look at that. Again, even if Equilife doesn't ship there, is there something that you could find close to it that you'd be able to do? All right. Or maybe a friend from the US or any one of the 27 countries that we ship to could then ship it to you. And that's what a lot of people do as well. They get it delivered to them, then they ship it to you. All right. Danny's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm a fourth-year medical student, aspiring functional medicine doctor. I've learned so much from your podcast, and I love tuning in every day. Happy to hear that, Danny. In short, I have 4 homozygous polymorphisms of COMT. Should I supplement with hydroxy B12 and avoid methyl B12 and methylfolate? I also have a heterozygous polymorphism of MTHFR, which is the C677T. For which I should take methyl B12 and methylfolate. Oh, I know what your question is going to be. Okay. It seems like what is therapeutic for one problem is toxic for the other and vice versa. Hence my question, what should I do? All right. So And then it says on your oat test, your quinolinic acid to serotonin ratio was high. And we concluded that this was low serotonin. And my quinolinic level was 0.72. I know MTHFR is involved in serotonin via tryptophan. Okay, yeah, I know what you're asking. Okay, so happy to help with this. I have COMT issues. I have MTHFR issues. If you've listened to my podcast before, you know that I've said I have just basically, if you look at my genetic code for all the detoxification and inflammatory markers, it's just red, like all the way down. And so, but like it's interesting because, you know, I mean, my genetics, in terms of my genetic code, like this is nothing against my parents, right? They inherited from their parents and so on and so forth. But here's the thing, as bad as my genetic code is, I'm the healthiest, happiest person I know in my life. Like I'm just, again, like I don't think that that's like bragging or ego. Like I'm happy, I'm healthy, I get to do everything that I want. And life is good, even with these genetics, right? So I just have to probably be a little bit more careful than other people. But okay, big deal. Like, I mean, I've learned to enjoy eating well, not over exercising, and that's it. Like, I mean, and take the supplements that help. So here's the thing. Having worked with thousands of people with these issues, and myself included, you have to be careful what you're supposed to do based on your genetics. What you want to do is run the starter kit. Like you want to know what you need to do based on you. Like, are you getting enough methyl B12 from a low level supplement? Even like it's not low level. So if you take the daily nutritional support, that might be perfect to meet all of your needs. I've actually found an issue with over supplementing B12 B vitamins, mainly methylfolate, for people with MTHFR issues than the opposite. But now, having said that, you need to restore your stores first and balance your body, and then you'll be able to tolerate it to a better degree. So for example, I used to take high levels of methyl B12 in like my late 20s, and it was very, very helpful. And then after that, I didn't need it. And I would actually say that super high levels were not beneficial. They could have been non-beneficial because then it could be over-methylating. So you need to be more concerned about how your body eliminates these products than necessarily what you're taking in. So I would have no problem with you using something like the daily nutritional support, which gives you your B6, because that's part of your serotonin issue, and your methylating issue is vitamin B6 in the P5P form for the most part. And then because there's a COMT issue, you just want to make sure you're eliminating all of these catecholamines and other things from your body. So you don't want to overdo it either, right? Because you might be somebody that's a go person like myself. Okay, I'm making this super long. If you are really worried about your B vitamin levels, you would probably be just doing the daily nutritional support plus a little extra hydroxycobalamin. Like that's it, like that. So you get a little bit of methylcobalamin, it's not a little bit, a good amount of methylcobalamin and your B6 from your daily nutritional support. Then you're doing a little bit of hydroxycobalamin, most likely in a liquid-based form, although I don't love alcohol tinctures for people with COMT-based issues, but again, that's a story for another day. It's okay, but it can be reactive, especially if you have histamine issues. So that's that. And then the B6 will also help with the low serotonin. You might want to use a little bit of liquid melatonin like I do, and the reason is that it then calms the glucocorticoids and catecholamines, which then fulfills melatonin to a degree, and so you can keep more serotonin. I mean, I could go on, and I have taught whole seminars on this, but that's good for today. So hopefully that gets you started, Danny, and keep up the great work. We need more great functional medicine doctors like you will no doubt one day be. Lorena is up next, working with a male client that is a pitta and is 32 years old. Saliva test showed normal DHEA, progesterone, and testosterone, as well as adrenal phase 3. However, his estrogen was significantly high. It's not from adipose tissue because he's quite fit. Pretty much a plant-based diet with occasional grass-fed beef, no exposure to xenoestrogens, as all cleaning products as well as processed products, 100% natural. Eats a lot of cruciferous veggies every day. He does eat organic tofu twice a week, and I was wondering if it could be that. I read somewhere their dietary intake wouldn't raise estrogen levels much. I'm just confused right now. He is prone to hair loss, so not sure whether there's conversion issue from testosterone to estrogen. Okay, yeah, happy to help with this. So here's the thing. Yes, so organic tofu, non-GMO, sprouted, shouldn't be a big deal for most people. But someone like me, it's a huge deal for. Like I do horribly with soy and tofu. Now, I can recommend it to other people a couple times a week, no big deal, especially for men over 40 women over 40, because it has some mild phytoestrogens that can actually be beneficial for breast cancer, prostate cancer, etc. So there's that with that, but I just don't do well with it. And like I do convert it to estrogen. So yeah, it could be the same. And I have the internal structure basically of a pitta, but not the external necessarily structure. So, my recommendation is this, tofu could be, so let's replace that with more maybe legumes, beans instead. If he does well with that, that's fine. And I have a podcast that just came out this week, right? Let's see here. Yes, it is episode 2456 I want you to tune into. You can even give it to your client. Because the same reasons that can decrease your testosterone, what was the name of the show? It was called Why Your Testosterone May Be Low. Now you're probably saying to yourself, but my client has normal testosterone. Totally understand. The same reasons that can cause low testosterone can cause a conversion of testosterone to estrogen. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Really, really important, because he should have higher levels of normal testosterone and not converting if he wasn't converting as much to estrogen. I would look into that for sure, because he might be converting too much testosterone to dihydrotestosterone and or estrogen, and we don't necessarily want that. All right. Let's do one more question for today, and it's from Vic. Vic says, hi, Dr. Cabral. First of all, love your work. I had a recurring UTI for about a year and a half. I've completed the SIBO protocol in the finisher and 2 7-day detoxes starting about a year ago, which helped a lot of issues that I found relief from nowhere else. So a big thank you for that. I'm happy to hear that, Vic. However, I still have to do your UTI protocol nearly constantly. I have relief when on the protocol, but symptoms a few days after stopping. I was wondering if there's any long-term detrimental effects of doing this protocol constantly or having issues for this long. I've tried all the basic lifestyle tips and listened to your previous podcast, but can't seem to find a story quite like mine. I don't take antibiotics anymore and have had countless confirmed cultures, tests that show an infection. Unfortunately, I'm on a tight budget at the moment, so most testing and treatment I cannot afford at this time. So any general advice would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Okay, yeah, I get it. I understand. So for those of you who don't know our UTI protocol, healthy UTI protocol, of course, we're not treating any disease here, is using the D-mannose. It's using apple cider vinegar. It is using the citricidal drops and typically ascorbic acid, not alkalizing vitamin C. And it works tremendously well. I've used that since about 2010 with thousands and thousands of women, and it works exceptionally well. So do the IHPs. They use that too with their wellness clients. So what are we doing though? We're acidifying the urine. Okay, that helps with the alkalizing vitamin C. The ascorbic acid, not the alkalizing vitamin C. The apple cider vinegar can do the same. The D-mannose is helping with bacteria inside of the bladder, and same with the citricidal. So there we have it. So the main issues are there can be irritation and bacteria from sexual intercourse. So if you get a UTI a day or two after having sexual intercourse, you might want to look at that. You might want to use a little vaginal coconut oil or something that's lower pH and also antimicrobial for the most part. Like I think that would be something important to look at. And then a lot of women get relief from using the acidophilus. So it's fairly inexpensive as well. You can go to stevencabral.com/shop. Just type in acidophilus. One upon waking, one before bed may be very, very helpful for you. So that's a single strain probiotic that you might want to try before multi-strain probiotics, like the daily probiotic support that you've done and the clean gut probiotic. Those can both be very, very beneficial. And then we don't want you on citricidal all the time, but you might actually want to try a little bit of cranberries, like natural, great cranberries in your smoothie on a daily basis. Put them in the morning, high antioxidants, great for the bladder. You might want to try just those two things for now, because the less you can do with the better results, hey, even better. So hopefully that was helpful, Vic, and all the best. Write in, let us know if that was beneficial. Thanks, everybody. We're going to be back answering more of your questions tomorrow on our second Cabral House Call. Take care. Have an amazing weekend. I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at StephenCabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.